Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Lead Up for Women, Speak Up to Lead Up. We are on episode 136 already. I can't even believe it. And as you can hear, I am still recovering from my flu or my cold or whatever that non-COVID illness was that still exists today, by the way. So many people are so focused on COVID. Oh my gosh, you have COVID. I had COVID. And I've all told you this in the last episode, and it was not near as bad as what I just had. COVID was a walk in the park compared to, like a common cold compared to what I just had with the flu or a virus or whatever it was. So there's worse things out there knocking us down for sure. And I'm excited about today and our guest, Nicole Kalil, because we're going to be talking all about the secrets of confidence. And you all know how deep that is and how close to my heart that is. But before I get there, I want to thank our sponsor for today, Trisha Peridot with Turning Leaves Recovery. Addictions, negative attachments, and habits that hold us hostage are all seated in a pressure to perform and a reliance on something outside of ourselves to provide peace, joy, comfort, relief, value, validity, and worthiness. Trisha Peridot, the owner and creator of Turning Leaves Recovery Life and Wellness Coaching, is an industry thought leader, recovery lifestyle enthusiast, a transformational speaker, effective life skill breather, and a fierce optimist who loves to help change lives. Her passion is to make life better for the people seeking life recovery, equipping them with the right life skills and helping them set the right aspirations so they can live life and live it freely in one amazing personal journey. Trisha's combined her journey with addictions that span more than 30 years of her life with her 25 plus years recovery journey and in-depth degree studies to create an intimate, interactive experience designed to be focused on life going forward, transforming emotional intelligence, expanding your consciousness, and generating a healthy lifestyle for any recovery journey without creating overwhelm. View her coaching course, bundle programs, and more at www.turningleavesrecovery.com, or you can contact her on her direct business line, which we will have below at 805-710-2513. So as I was talking about our guest today, we're going to talk all about the secrets of confidence. We all know that really anything in our lives, speaking up about how we feel about politics, speaking up about how we feel about our faith, speaking up and defending our rights, defending our family, defending our community, all of that has to do with confidence. Building a successful business has the basis and foundation of confidence. So I'm excited to get into this conversation with Nicole, but let me share a little bit about her first before I jump into that. Nicole Kalil is more than slightly obsessed with confidence and what it takes to build both and keep it. She spent the bulk of her professional life with a Fortune 500 company, where her passion for leadership and her commitment to building her own confidence led her to become the first female chief development officer in 160-year company history. That is freaking fantastic, Nicole. Since starting her own company, Nicole has coached hundreds of executives, entrepreneurs, consults with Fortune 500 company, and hosts the This Is Women's Work podcast and speakers to leaders across the country about the not so secrets of confidence. Nicole, welcome to the show.
Colleen, thank you so much for having me.
It's really a pleasure to have you here because confidence is probably the basis and foundation, I believe, for everything we do in our lives. So you've been with a Fortune 500 company for a lot of years in the past. Talk to us a little bit about that journey, because everyone knows I've come from decades of corporate America and have shared my story. And I'd love to learn how you built that confidence. Where did it come from? Because we all know we come out of the womb with confidence, and then society and culture happens and they knock it down, they suck it out of us, they beat it out of us, everything happens. How do you get to the point where you're able to build that back up and really lean into yourself?
Yeah, well, first, you're exactly right. We're born with confidence, equal amounts of it anyway. And then we get into our lives, and especially for women, whether it's society or the way that we're raised or just things, end up chipping away at it. And so most women are entering the workforce with less confidence than their male counterparts. And that doesn't really change until we get into like our 50s. So there's a good chunk of time where women are operating in professional settings with less confidence than their male counterparts, but we weren't born with less of it. So as it relates to my story, I mean, I'm a perfect example of that. I was in my mid 20s. I had this great career. From the outside in, things looked like they were going great. I was getting promotions, making good income, bought a house, like the whole deal. But internally, I was a hot mess. Like I was living for the next result. I was living for the next compliment. I was living for the next promotion. And so I had my confidence tied directly to all of those things, that meeting the guy of my dreams, fill in the blank. There were so many things that I was thinking, like, if X happens, then I'll feel confident. And because of that, I just started paying attention. What's the difference between people who are confident and people who aren't? What separates the people who are excelling, but also having really great lives and seem like good people? And ultimately what that led to is me becoming a student of confidence, which, got me to this point. I can fill in more details if you want, but I ended up stepping away from my Fortune 500 executive role to start my own business because I was passionate about this and applying it in my own life, and just thought, gosh, what could happen if more women got connected to their confidence? As you said, it impacts the dreams that we chase, the risks that we take, the conversations that we have, the decisions we make, and it really plays out in so many aspects of our life.
Yeah. What was that turning point for you? Feel free to fill in those
Yeah.
details, because my listeners love the stories.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I'd had enough. I was kind of banging my head against the wall. I really wanted to get to a certain position and a certain level, and it was really hard to navigate how to do that. There felt like it was a lot of politics. I saw men getting into that role or getting put into the position that leads into that role in situations where, like, I was like, I'm outperforming, outproducing, and I just kind of got to the point where it's like, this isn't going to happen, and I don't have the control over the situation that I wanted or hoped. And it just was like, I'm tired of banging my head against the wall. I got to do something about this.
I love that approach because it's exactly what happened to me. So I was watching CEOs be put into positions, sons of previous CEOs being put into certain positions. And I love that you said that you got tired of it and you gave yourself the permission to make a choice and a change in your life. And that takes a lot of confidence to do that. And so anyone who's listening right now who might be in a position where you're struggling because you want to leave your corporate job, you're not happy with what's happening around you. It's a similar situation that Nicole's gone through, or my story that you've heard that I've gone through, and you're tired of it. And those decisions are going to be made by somebody else no matter what you do. And you have to make a choice. And we're here to tell you that it is possible for you to leave and kiss corporate goodbye and start a journey of your own, but you should never do it by yourself. So if you find yourself kind of sitting on that fence, Nicole, for some of the ladies that are listening today, if they find themselves sitting on that fence and they're thinking, well, I do want to do it, but I could never make enough money on my own, I could never survive doing a business on my own, there's a lack of confidence piece in there. So let's talk through that and some of the clients that you're working with today.
Yeah, absolutely. So first, let me start by saying we as women have a tendency to want to be ready before we'll take a risk or do something courageous or brave or anything like that. And I understand the instinct, right? We want to prepare, we want to plan, we want to have a strategy, we want to do our research, we want to get the right timing. But the problem is we wait to be 100% ready, and being 100% ready to do something you've never done before is not an achievable benchmark. The only way you get ready is by doing the thing. And so we as women have a tendency to overthink, over research, over prepare. And what's problematic is it leads to inaction, and inaction leads to regrets. I will also throw out we, generally speaking, I don't speak for all women, of course, but generally speaking, have a little bit more of an aversion towards risk than our male counterparts. But I would invite you to, really think that there are risks involved no matter what you do. So we think
Mhm.
about having a safe income and a salary as an example, but having experienced that, some of the risks I took in that environment was having somebody else be the determiner and the decider of my career trajectory, of my promotions, of my pay raises. And so the risk I was taking was giving control over those choices to somebody else. Now, certainly starting my own business was a financial risk, but I kind of felt like I was transferring the risk from somebody else to myself. And at the end of the day, confidence is about trust. If you look at the etymology of the word or the root word of the word confidence, it's trust. Boldly, firmly trust. And so that's what propelled me forward is I was like, I have to trust myself. If I don't trust myself, who will, right?
Yeah.
So, and just recognizing that I was never going to be 100% ready, that I trusted myself, that I'd figure some things out as I went, and that there was risk no matter what. And I preferred to hold the risk in my own hands versus giving it to somebody else.
Yeah, I call that start before you're ready. And
Yes.
I've written chapters in friends' books about start before you're ready. I've done conferences on it. If we waited, and do you have children, Nicole, by any
I do, an
chance?
8 year
Okay.
old daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can agree with me that if we waited until we were ready to have kids, I would never have any. My
No.
husband and I have 7 kids. We have 11 grandkids.
Oh,
If any of my children waited until they were really ready to be married and, be a mom or be a dad, are you kidding me?
yeah.
Like I wouldn't have any married kids right now. So everything in life, it's like exciting, right? It's exciting. And if you take a risk as an excitement and as a I'm taking this risk on my terms, I'm taking this risk by choice, by my own permission, it gives it a different perspective than saying, oh my gosh, I'm taking a risk. And
Mhm.
then you feel like the risk is left up to the universe to, because life's going to happen at you, it's going to happen to you, it's not going to happen for you. So it really comes down to owning and trusting, like you said yourself, wouldn't you say, Nicole?
Yeah. I would add, I heard somebody say this once that really resonated with me is we're always choosing between two pains, the pain of doing the thing and the pain of regret. And so one is certainly a little bit more delayed, but there is always, you know, pain. And I'd prefer the pain of doing the thing, of taking the risk, of
Yeah.
learning the lessons, of making the mistakes, because all of those things I can move forward from. The pain of regret, can't really do much about that once it's done.
Correct. And if you're anything like me, Nicole, you have pain of regret that you didn't do it sooner now.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I see you shaking your head, yes, because
Yeah.
I told my husband, you got to be kidding me. Why did you tell me to stay in corporate for so long? Because he's owned his own business for many, many years. And I was working in corporate for a long, long time. And he's like, because I just didn't know how you would do out here as an entrepreneur. I mean, I was coaching entrepreneurs for 20 years.
Yeah.
Right. And then when I finally was like, okay, banging my head up against the wall, this is the end, can't do this anymore, and decided to come out, I was like, why didn't you tell me? Like, why did you keep me there for so long? He was
Yeah.
like, I just didn't know you'd be this successful. It's like,
Yeah.
and I'm going to tell you that today to everyone listening, if you're that successful in corporate America and you're killing it and you're able to crush your goals and you're able to lead a team, you can do that exact same thing here on your own terms as an entrepreneur. And you have the freedoms to make the decisions to move. For me, it was like, I get to move faster than
Yeah.
the speed of corporate before, which felt like it was being drugged through the mud when we made decisions. Now it's like, boom, I don't have to go through 90 departments. I can just make decisions. Now I have a team of my own. I can make them quick. They execute quick and they
Yeah.
love it. So, what has
Yeah.
been some wonderful things for you, Nicole, now that you've transitioned from the Fortune 500 company and you're running your own company and coaching hundreds of executives? Are you working mainly with the executives that are still in the corporate world and helping them, or women that are entrepreneurs or solopreneurs? Give us a little scope of that.
All across the board. I typically work with people who are at the managerial level, executive level, and or running successful businesses, or, you know, serial entrepreneurs. Having said that, you know, I did do a lot of work with startup entrepreneurs in my corporate role. That was my job, was to train new entrepreneurs. So, you know, I learned a lot from that experience. I will say there are pros and cons to everything all the time, right? So I'm not going to paint this perfect picture like being an entrepreneur is all sunshine and rainbows and unicorns all day long, right? But yes,
a lot of hard work.
Lots of hard work. And I would even say, for me, hard in a different way. In the corporate world, hard meant first in, last to leave, all the meetings, you know, like all that. I work significantly less hours as a business owner than I did in my corporate world. I work about 31 hours a week now, and I was able to double my income 3 years into my business. So those are some really cool upsides. But the hard that I expected and some that I didn't anticipate was the hard of, you know, the fear around finances and the making things work and taking risks and having conversations with people and getting the no's and facing the rejections. I knew that was going to be part of it. But what was also hard for me that I didn't anticipate was not having so many people to bounce an idea off of, not getting so many different people's perspectives, and sort of like this is all on me. Like, I am the decider, which has its upsides, but was also, you know, a little bit challenging earlier on. So I had to get strategic about finding peers, hiring coaches, you know, getting involved in different groups and really finding that in different ways.
Yeah, I think that's why I built Lead Up for Women on purpose, was so I could surround myself with a tribe of females that, though them too, I knew would be suffering, be alone on an island, would need that support that they weren't getting now as an entrepreneur, and needing other women to be there to cheer them on, to lift them, to introduce them to other people and other communities. And that's why I built Lead Up for Women first before I, you know, leaped out of corporate America. I think the other thing that we haven't talked about that's super important to remember is your confidence could be shaken whenever you make a big decision in your life that's life-changing. And for me, I went through a period of time where what I felt I was worth was what I was paid. But I didn't know that at first when I left corporate America, because you're paid what you're worth in corporate America, right? Your job, what your job pays, what you're worth, what you're contributing, that's how they pay you. So when you come out into the corporate world, if you're not making money right away, or if there's not a bridge of income there and you've got zero money coming in, you're like,
yeah,
am I worth zero?
Yes.
So I struggled a little bit with that, in really understanding, which was the best thing that ever happened to me in building that, rebuilding some of that confidence, because I was a very confident individual in corporate America, and I knew I would be really good as an entrepreneur. However, it was shooken a little bit while I was building everything, with the rejections that you have, with the uphill, with the struggle of some of the revenues coming in and all those pieces. I was shooken a little bit and had to rebuild that. But when you rebuild something, it is stronger the second time around for sure. And then when you realize that your worth is not tied to how much money you make, and your worth is just you, perfectly imperfect the way God intended you to be in your greatness, that's the best part. Because then your confidence is even stronger.
Yeah. You bring up two really important points as it relates to confidence building, and all the research supports this. First, that failures, mistakes, missteps, doubt, fear, all of those things actually serve to build our confidence over time. Now, it doesn't make it suck any less when we're in it, right? When the fear and the doubt, and by the way, I have fear and doubt all the time, just like anybody else. I just tell myself in those moments, the only thing that's missing here is hindsight. I don't know yet what purpose this serves, or what lesson I'm going to learn, or what gift this is to me. I really think rejection is redirection. No's help us get yeses. We can fail forward. There's all this opportunity. And we as women have a tendency to personalize and internalize our failures. And that is one of our biggest opportunities as it relates to building confidence. We have to reframe our relationship with failure and actually understand that it serves a purpose in our success and in our confidence. In fact, it's necessary for both of those things to happen.
I love that.
So letting go of some of that perfectionism that we, yeah.
I have a lot of books I can recommend on that. And I would love for you to share with our listeners on just a couple of steps. What are some daily actions or some things that our listeners can take today and start applying to really start creating a solid, concrete foundation of confidence and unshakable, what I call unshakable, invincible, unbreakable, and unstoppable confidence?
Yeah. So I'm going to give you one that you already said, which is get into action. Action builds confidence. You can't think your way into it. You can't hope your way into it. You must get into action. So even if it feels like the smallest step, get into action towards what matters, towards what you want. That is going to build your confidence. And then the second thing I would say is really to focus your energies on building internal confidence. I call this the confidence con. We've all been conned into believing the confidence is going to come to us externally. It's going to come to us from that promotion, from that income, from finding the right person to marry, from the compliments, from the followers on social media. We believe if we get those things, then we'll feel confident. And it really doesn't work that way. Confidence is built inside and can show up externally, but it's not if X happens, then I'll feel confident. It's if I'm confident, then I have a higher probability of X, whatever that may be. So some things that you can do that build internal confidence. First, keep your commitments, the ones you make to others, but also the ones you make to yourself. And we as women tend to be better at keeping our commitments to our children, our spouse, our coworkers, than we are at the ones we make to ourselves. And that's super important. Remember, confidence is about trust. And when you break commitments to yourself, you lose trust in yourself. So it's really important. Practicing self-care, and I don't just mean getting massages or getting your nails done. I mean anything that fills your cup. Reading, taking breaths of fresh air, whatever.
Yeah, like I say, taking a break and going to get frozen yogurt during the day, if that's what you want to do. I went to a movie one time and just cleared my schedule and was like, I just really want to get out of here and go see this movie. And I just respected myself and what I wanted and made the choice and filled my cup.
Yeah, fill your cup. Let me add one more. Create and communicate boundaries. We as women, I had somebody on my podcast that used this expression and it really resonated with me. We have a default yes. And we have to get better at saying no, honoring and communicating our boundaries and understanding that that doesn't make us rude or mean or any of those things. And no is a good answer. And we have to stop saying yes to everything because it's really chipping away at our internal confidence. So
it is. It's about respect. I'd say, no, those are great action steps, Nicole. I would say saying no is about respecting yourself and your time. Because how many times have we all said yes and then we're like, oh, I'm so overloaded, I have too much to do. Well, you said yes to it. So my other thing is making decisions quickly. To me, that's the fastest speed, that to me is the fastest speed to wealth is making decisions. So making decisions quickly and then adjusting slowly as you go. But the more you procrastinate, the more it does start hurting your confidence because then you start second guessing yourself over and over again. And you start playing out scenarios. So write all those scenarios down of everything bad that could happen with the decision you're going to make. And if death is not on the list, then go for it.
Go for it.
Literally, because everything else you can recover from.
There is a meme that makes me giggle every time. It says, the road is paved with flat squirrels who couldn't make a decision. We got to choose. And not choosing is a choice and has consequences too. We have to remember that.
It is. So Nicole, who would be the ideal person to reach out to you? Where can they find you? What is the best way for my community to get in contact with you? And if you have anything to offer to the community today, please share.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can reach out to me on my website, NicoleKalil.com, or email me directly, Nicole@NicoleKalil.com. We have our podcast, This is Woman's Work. You can find me there for a free resource. Outside of that, what I do, the bulk of my time is speaking engagement. So if there's somebody who's listening who's part of a company who holds women's events, I do speak mixed gender as well, but I am super passionate about women's events and talking about confidence. And then if you go on my website, the shop, there's a free resource that I call a recovery plan. Basically what it is a step-by-step guide to create a plan for the tough days, the days where nothing goes according to plan, the days where fear and doubt has kicked into high gear, the days where you felt rejected or you got the nose or whatever happened. The reality is those days are coming. And so we should have a plan and be prepared for them. And that's ultimately what this recovery plan does. So if you go to my website, go to the shop and search for recovery plan, you can download it for free. It's just a step-by-step guide. So you have a plan in place proactively and strategically for those tough days.
That's wonderful, Nicole. Thank you so much for sharing that with our guests. And thank you so much for being here today as a guest on our podcast. And we're talking all about the secrets of confidence that are not so secret, by the way. Did you notice how we just kind of laid them all out today? So go build yourself some confidence, ladies. That's what we're going to send as a message today. So Nicole, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me, Colleen. It was a great pleasure.
Wonderful. And then ladies, I just want to leave you with this as you all know, you are the only you that's ever been. You are the only you that will ever be. So how you pioneer your future, it's up to you. Nobody is coming. Give yourself the permission today to live the life that you desire. And until next time, be you and be strong. We'll see you later. Bye-bye now.